Hey, what's up? My name's Lucas. I'm a photographer and filmmaker based out of West Michigan. Welcome to my channel. Today, we'll be talking about 5D Classic. A couple years ago, I was talking to one of my good friends, and we were talking about what's the next thing in photography going to be. And I was like, it's going to be those early 2000s cameras. And I know to my 5D Classic community, you guys never left. There has been a cult following on these 5D Classics since it's come out. And there's a good reason for that, because these cameras are incredible. This is actually the exact camera that I learned photography on. They made the 5D from 2002 to 2005, I believe. And then obviously it came out with its predecessor, the 5D Mark II, which really what ushered in this era of prosumer video. But before the 5D Mark II was the 5D Classic, and this is solely photo camera, and it's so unique. It's got such fun characteristics to it. I love shooting with this camera, and I've recently picked it back up to put it through its paces again. And honestly, one of the main reasons that I started using it again is because since I'm also a filmmaker, and I've got my vintage like R set, I also have these set to EF mount. So one of the things that I love about the EF mount is how versatile it is. All of my cameras are L mount, M mount, or at work RF mount. All of my lenses, except for my L mount lenses, are all EF mount because they're the most versatile. They can work on almost any camera body, especially mirrorless. So I'm able to adapt a bunch of different things, like this photo set that I used on my adapted Helios lenses to EF. So I started with this camera with the 50 Summilux R on it, and honestly, it's really, really fun. And man, like I loved shooting with this. It was so unique, and especially with the Summilux lenses and the Leica R lenses, it gives such a unique characteristic to the already unique characteristics of this camera. Its own set of difficult, because if you want to shoot wide open at 1.4, you are having all sorts of issues catching focus. So as much as I love using the R glass on it, I really like using the native EF glass. One of the reasons for that is because you get autofocus, and the autofocus, I will admit, is not like modern day autofocus that it's gonna like catch immediately. You have like 9 focus points in the middle, but there's a lot of really freeing stuff about having the drawback of not having great autofocus. If you follow my channel, you know that I'm totally fine with having limitations on my gear to draw out creativity while I'm working. But one of the things that I really, really like about this camera is its affordability and its access to such great lenses at a relatively affordable price. You can buy them used for around $100, which is crazy cheap for what this is. Now, you're not going to want to be blowing this up and printing it like for billboards or anything. That's not what I'm doing with this camera. But at one point, this was the camera to get. This is a full frame professional camera. Don't hate me, but while I've been using the Canon EF lenses, I've been in aperture priority mode, mostly because I'm shooting this outside with my family, and I'm really, really blown away by it. Some of the drawbacks is it doesn't have auto ISO, which I'll be totally honest, I've grown to like auto ISO quite a bit in my Leica SLs, but none of the other cameras that I've used, I wanted to use auto ISO. So with this camera, you are getting an ISO range from 100 to 1600. So a lot of people are like comparing it to film and saying how you need to think of it as a film camera, and it's not a film camera. It's a digital camera. And I think we all know that, and I think it's just kind of like a buzzword thing that people are like, it's a film camera, but it's an endless roll of film. But the beauty in it is digital, so you can rip away at it and have a lot of fun. One of the things that is actually super satisfying about this camera is its shutter sound. So when you take a picture, whew, that's some early 2000s nostalgia right there. That sounds so nice.
Here I am in my backyard. This is where I'm using this camera the most, either here or at my coffee bar, honestly. I love using this back here because it's close to my house and I can grab my spare battery. Honestly, the battery life on it isn't very good. So having spare batteries is super important because the batteries are all pretty old and pretty shot. I do change a couple settings on here. One of the settings is white balance shift. I switch that from neutral to A2 G2. I feel like that gives me a little bit better skin tones on my Canon files. So when I edit, it just looks a little bit cleaner, a little bit more filmic, if you will. And then I turn off the focus beep. So instead of hearing that beep, you just turn it off, catch focus, and you hear that beautiful shutter.
One thing to note is there was a recall on these cameras, so the glue that they use to connect the mirror to the shutter dissolves over time. So in 2015, I took a picture with this camera and the mirror just slid off. And it was still under warranty. Canon covered it. I sent it over to them, and a few months later I had what felt like a brand new Canon 5D Classic back on my doorstep. But that is something to be aware of if you are looking at buying one of these in the used market. But other than that, this has been pretty rock solid. It feels really natural. I don't know if that's just because this is what I learned how to take a picture on. But it feels really intuitive for me, and there's something about shooting through a DSLR or a SLR that is nice. Like I don't know how else to explain it. Like in a mirrorless world, like the back screen kind of sucks on this. The autofocus isn't like super snappy. The menu system is really bad. I don't like spending a lot of time in those things. I like taking pictures. There's something about the colors out of this camera that just, it just does it for me. I've been showing pictures through this whole thing. Let me know. Do you think it's a waste of time shooting on an old digital camera, or do you think it's fun and cool? I think it's awesome, so I'm going to keep shooting on it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And if you liked this video, please like and subscribe. It really does make a huge difference, and I'll see you in the next video.